Good afternoon. Today we have with us Mr. Subir Gupta, Chief Executive, ERM-India Private Limited. Subir, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Subir, my first question to you is, what is business responsibility and how do you see businesses in India grasp this concept?
Well, to speak very frankly, I still think there's a quite a bit of confusion in the real use of that phrase, because I increasingly find that people still continue to attach anything to do with business responsibility with CSR. Whereas in my view, business responsibility, or rather responsible business, goes actually far beyond just CSR. Is that, it is the way you do business every day, every minute, and how you do it, how you adopt ethical practices, how you make sure that all your stakeholders are included, how your approach to a sort of an inclusive approach to your stakeholders all around you, and making sure that you create a positive impact as much as possible and reduce your negative impact of doing your business, both on environment, health, safety, social, climate change, all of that together. That is what I think is a responsible business about. It is not really about using 2% of your profit to do some good for the community around. That is not only, that is one part of it, but that is not the only part of it.
Subir, how do we go about ensuring that sustainability is actually at the core of business processes and is not a peripheral activity for businesses?
Right. What I would like to do is to take you back to what we are doing as a company. ERM has always been at the leading edge of providing advisory services in this area, in this subject matter. And what we did was, instead of saying that looking at our delivery strategy, looking at our business strategy, we came to this conclusion that we can't have sustainability, because that was what every corporate was doing, having sustainability as a add-on, division, department or function, which really for us it was exactly the opposite. We thought, and we always believed, that sustainability is something which is inherent in what we do. So the way our strategy was developed, and in fact it is even spelled out, is very clear. Our sustainability is embedded in everything that we do. So it is not something which is an add-on to various functions or various the divisions or departments that we have. And that is the concept that we are working with. We are a consulting firm, so we work with the largest corporations in the world. We also work with governments and with other bodies, with civil society also, and we try to bring this concept in as much as possible. And what is good to see is, over the past 5-6 years especially, globally this has become something which is very readily accepted. And what is heartening to note is that even in India, a lot of the corporate world, and I don't want to say only the large corporates. Right. You'll be surprised to find that even smaller businesses actually are understanding this concept of embedding sustainability into their businesses. Right. And that is, I think, the way to go, and that is what I think will add or provide best returns for this kind of an approach. And in the long run, that is what is going to really let businesses sustain and be sustainable in the future. So
you seeing a positive change happening now. Right. So do you feel that we have enough leaders in the industry today who can be agents of change in their own organizations? Do you feel we need to really nurture talent in organizations, or do you feel that we have enough talent already out there?
Okay, before I respond to this question, I just wanted to modify, or rather add one more comment to my previous one, is that I'm very optimistic, so I always say that I see a lot of positive change that is happening in the around me, in the business world and in the governance, in governments and other parts of society. But I think there's still a long way to go. I mean, the reason I say that I feel positive, because I see a lot of change happening, but it's not enough yet. It's still a long way to go. So I just wanted to make sure that you got that message, that everything is not hunky-dory yet. There's a lot of things that are still not right. There are a lot of things that are not happening the way they should be. A lot of initiatives are not taking off because people are giving lip service to it, and there is still some element of greenwashing happening, if I can use that term, at various levels, in order to get some, I don't know whether I should use this term, brownie points, in the immediate term, and not really looking at long-term commitment to these initiatives. But having said that, as I said that I know there is a lot of positivity in the around me that I can see, that people are adopting the right ways of doing business, and they are also reaping benefits out of it. Coming back to your question on leadership, I think again the leadership per se, the leadership talent or the leadership pool is available. But what is very important is to increase their level of awareness and understanding of these subjects. So it is not that they have to learn about leadership or acquire leadership talent. It is more to do with getting more familiar with the subject, and then understanding that how embedding it into the day-to-day activities in everything that you do is really going to convert this whole movement into a mass movement, and therefore you can provide that leadership that is required there. So I think there is a need to build that awareness, to build some leadership training, exposure to the real issues, understanding of that, and then we are going to have a sufficient number of leaders leading this movement.
Subir, as we speak, increasingly everybody is talking about sustainability and business responsibility. Now, a major challenge is how do we actually execute what we are saying? Bridging that gap is very essential for us to move forward. So, what, in your view, can be done to ensure that we accelerate and move forward faster when it comes to execution?
Business is in the business of business. So I'm sorry to borrow this term from various other people, but what I'm trying to say is that it can become very important to business, provided the comment that I had made, that you can actually demonstrate that it makes sense to the business in all its, if you're looking at the triple bottom line, I am saying, okay, let's look at the triple bottom line. So whatever you're doing, in terms of moving towards sustainable development and putting it as embedding sustainability into your business, it has to actually have a outcome which not only gives you the social recognition or amongst your peers or something like that. It also gives you the social license to operate. It also gives you economic benefit coming out of adopting these and that is what is going to make adoption quicker. More you are able to demonstrate that actually makes business sense in the longer term, more people will start embracing it, and I think there are a lot of studies being done, a lot of surveys being done globally, which are giving this evidence back, feeding this evidence back, that there is clear benefits to the business, including to the bottom line, if you are adopting sustainability as your way of doing work.
Subir, my last question to you is, in the last few years, what are some of the process and technology innovations which have particularly excited you when it comes to helping and aiding businesses to implement sustainability?
I think there are the key challenges that have come in. One is that communication technology, technology that is helping in providing information, availability of information. I think that has been a remarkable enabler even in this area, because information is available. Today, if you are willing to research a little bit, using the internet, you can actually get best cases, in terms of, in my sector of, suppose I'm working in a particular sector, who is doing what are they able to achieve. Quite a lot of that information is available to you without really going into big technology, tie-ups or anything like that, just to start with. So you can actually do your initial research, based on the information that is available. So I think, the availability of information has made a huge change to this. The second thing is, in the second area I would say is, the innovation that is happening in various parts of the world. In places like, if you're looking at, I'll just take an example, the whole, shale gas, boom that has happened in the US. You'll be surprised to know, or maybe you already know, the reason why the shale gas boom has happened is because on the ground, at the place where all this, investigation was taking place, the innovations took place there. And that is where it made it so much easier for the shale gas to be extracted using newer and newer technologies, newer approaches, more sustainable, easier way of managing water, which was a big issue. It is becoming increasingly, the technology is getting available for managing water, which was a big risk issue or environmental issue in advancing on shale gas. And shale gas, because of its potential to offset other conventional oil, as a source of fuel, as well as source of feedstock, is changing the whole game. And what it is doing is also helping in things like reducing the overall carbon footprint, for instance, or GHG footprint. It is helping in doing that. It's more efficient. Gas is more efficient in terms of use as a source of energy than oil or crude. So that is making a huge difference. The other side is, the third angle. There are hundreds of examples that I can talk about what is making the change. But the fact is, water is becoming a critical issue. It's already a critical issue in many parts of the world. Usage of water, reuse of water, getting cheaper and cheaper technologies of recycling water, even getting easier and cheaper, relatively cheaper technologies of desalination of water. All that is moving towards in the right direction. So, which means that we are becoming more conscious of how to conserve. We're also getting the means of doing that, recycling, conserving, reusing water, and the awareness that is coming because of the information sharing. That is what is driving this whole process. So in my view.
Subir, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.